Good morning, all. Can I just ask that, can someone just give me an indication that you can hear me and you can see me before we kick off with today's webinar? It's important that you can see us and hear us. So, Randall, thank you. I'm just letting everyone, awesome, thanks, guys. Can hear me, you can see me. Luke Atkins, how are you, my friend? Thanks, guys, that's great. We're just going to wait a couple of minutes. We might kick off at about 3 minutes past. We're just letting everyone in from the lobby to the presentation. So bear with me. It's actually a beautiful day down here in Hobart today. Well, it's cold, but it's blue skies. It's quite lovely. Where's everyone else joining us from today? Anywhere exciting? We're warm. Oh, beautiful. Victoria. Victoria would be similar climate to down here. Townsville, that's what I like to see. Some sun. Hobart, fellow Hobartian. Very nice. We'll give it another minute just to let the final attendees in to presentation. All right, what I might do, I might kick off, but Nirmal, I'll just ask if you can just please admit anyone else into the presentation who's waiting in the lobby whilst I begin. That would be fantastic. All right. Thanks, Nirmal. All right, let's kick it off. Okay, well, welcome everyone. My name's Helen Malloy. I'm the General Manager here at Act 2 Solutions. Very big thank you to you all for joining us today for this webinar. I know it's 30th of June. It's an incredibly busy time, so I'm really grateful that you're here, and I know that we're going to add something really rewarding to your day and give you a little bit of a break from that end of financial year grind. A big thank you to Axos for allowing us the platform to be able to bring this webinar to you today. This is actually the first time that Act 2 has been part of a webinar that isn't specifically financial related topics or technical around finance. So it's quite refreshing, exciting. It's something I'm quite passionate about. Our presenter today has some invaluable knowledge and a wealth of experience to share with us, and we're incredibly fortunate that he agreed to partner with Act 2 for this live webinar. Dr. Balkrishna Potdar he's a lecturer in marketing here at the University of Tasmania. He has a PhD in marketing, among many other high-level certifications and diplomas, with 15 years of experience in university teaching and research. It's easy to say that he really knows his stuff. Before I hand over, I will quickly give you a bit of a rundown on today's agenda. So we will hear from Dr. Balkrishna, which will be followed by a quick Q&A. So should you have any questions for Dr. Balkrishna throughout the session, please add them into the chat box, and then we will address these at the conclusion of the presentation. This will be followed by myself giving you a little bit more of an insight into Act 2 Solutions and what we do and how we do it, and then we're going to wrap it up. All right, guys, I'm now going to hand you over to Dr. Balkrishna Potdar, and I'll see you back at the end.
Thanks, Helen. Can everyone hear me okay? Great. Thank you, Helen. All right. Thank you so much, Helen, for introducing me so nicely. And thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning. So this webinar is all about stepping out of your comfort zone and maximizing your networking skills. So let's start with the webinar. First of all, I would like to begin with acknowledging the Palawa or Pakana people of Lutrivita, the traditional owners of the land upon which we live and work. We pay respects to elders, past and present, as the knowledge holders and sharers. We honor their strong culture and knowledges as vital to the self-determination, well-being, and resilience of their community. We stand for a future that profoundly respects and acknowledges Aboriginal perspectives, culture, language, and history. The objectives of this webinar are quite simple and straightforward. So the first objective is to understand the basics of professional networking. The second objective is to learn some techniques for professional networking with integrity. The third objective is to discuss in-person and online networking. And the fourth objective is to complete a gamified knowledge retention activity. The agenda is quite simple again, mapped to the objectives, as you can see on the screen. And as Helen has mentioned, I'll answer your questions just before concluding this webinar. So please feel free to send your questions through chat, and in the end, I would try to answer your questions. So Helen has already introduced me quite nicely, so I'll not spend much time on this, except for the fact that I have a few good publications in international journals of repute, and I have attended various conferences in Australia as well as other parts of the world, including New Zealand, United Kingdom, United Arab Emirates, Thailand, and of course India, because that's my, I would say, home country. On that note, I also would like to mention and disclose that the contents of this PowerPoint presentation are borrowed from an online course on professional networking developed by Professor Dory Clark from Duke University, United States of America. This course is available on LinkedIn Learning Premium portal. Therefore, for privacy and copyright reasons, this PowerPoint presentation must only be used for non-commercial, non-profit, personal study, practice, or reference purpose. Also, I encourage you to complete the certification on LinkedIn Learning whenever it's possible for you. So, how to network the right way? I just wanted to ask you, have you ever been to a networking event where you didn't know anyone and felt horribly uncomfortable? Or have you had someone glom onto you and try to push their product? If that's what has happened, then I would say, forget all that. That is not networking. That's bad networking. So in this webinar, we are going to talk about how to create real relationships in a fun and authentic way that pay off for your business. It's about succeeding by being yourself and connecting with people you actually like. So if you are ready, let's get started. Networking with integrity. That's the quite interesting topic that I'm first going to cover. So for that, first, I would encourage you to prioritize your most important contacts. How many people are you connected with on social media? Like LinkedIn or Twitter, or for that matter, even on Facebook or Instagram, for that matter. Maybe hundreds, thousands. Just try networking with all of them. Do you think it is possible to network with all of them in person? That's kind of an insane thought, I believe. And I hope you don't try, because you wouldn't have all the time to devote to real relationship building there. It's just too big of a task, isn't it? That's why it's essential to prioritize your networking. So prioritizing means making sure that you have a strategy in place that would uh, give importance to number of contacts who share some sort of commonality. And I'll cover that part in the next part. So you would be doing or building meaningful connections in this particular case. So first, whenever possible, research in advance the attendees of an event you are going to attend. So you know a little more about them and their background and interests, so you can steer the conversation in fruitful area. Uh, the research should not include any in-depth sort of investigation, you can say, or stalking them on social media as such. But at least you should be knowing about their, for example, home country or the place from where they belong to, where they have completed their schooling or from where they have graduated, then where they are currently residing, where they are working, and then uh, that will actually help you to decide your strategy as to what sort of conversation you'll be having with them once you will see them in person whenever you go to that particular networking event. Uh, Next, converse with the goal of finding commonalities. So as I said just a few minutes ago, what you can do is whenever you research the attendees in advance, just try to find out some commonalities. For example, as I mentioned that you will come to know uh, what is their like home country or hometown, etc. So just see like if you belong to the same home country or hometown, or if someone in your existing network, maybe it's a personal one, he or she is from that particular hometown or home country in general. So, that would be the first, uh, point for you to break the ice with that particular person. Because what will happen in that case, um, uh, this would be a best strategy and thing you can do, because that is to find something you have in common at an event to establish some meaningful connection. As commonalities in general shift the person into seeing you as a peer or someone like them. So that's quite helpful, I believe. And I personally have tried that a number of times. As I mentioned, I attended various international conferences outside Australia. Just recently, I've been to the UK to attend the British Academy of Management conference, which is an academic research conference. And that event actually is, of course, a very great networking opportunity. And they definitely publish the list of attendees in advance, so that you know who all are attending, and you can have some sort of like strategy, perhaps to break the ice with them, and that actually helped me personally. So building on that, I can just definitely strongly encourage and recommend you to try doing that. That means first to research about the attendees well in advance, and then try to find out some commonalities so that you can start uh, the conversation, meaningful conversation with them. Another way to make your conversation more meaningful is to find out what they are passionate about. For example, their hobbies, how they would like to spend their free time. For example, someone if you are a cricket lover, uh, then maybe you can just try to find out whether the other person likes cricket, If he likes cricket, then that will be great because then you have a topic to talk about and build your, good connection through conversation, meaningful conversation, and that will actually helpful for you to build a long-term professional relationship with that person. Also, when it comes to building real connections, it's also powerful to ask the question, what are you most excited about right now? In a sense, for example, as you know, like people's taste and likings keep on changing depending upon what environment they are into. So it might possible that someone uh, who initially never tasted, for example, Malaysian food, because that sort of food is not available in their home country, and they have recently moved to Australia, wherein they can find Malaysian food or in general Asian food, authentic Asian food options here, and they have started liking that particular food. In this case, Malaysian food specifically, I'm saying. So you can, you can just like ask that question, and it might possible that, they will start just talking about what they like, what specific dishes they like about, and then you can add your experiences about those dishes and that sort of thing. So you can actually break the ice and you can actually build a meaningful conversation and try building good network with that person. Lastly, you could try to be the wingman and introduce others whom you know already. So that is also another a good thing because people would definitely like to be introduced to other people, especially if you know existing people, if you know someone who work in the similar field as those people with whom you are having a chat for the first time, and you are introducing them to someone else working in the similar sort of area or industry, for example, at that networking event, then they will love it, and that will actually help you to further build a strong bond with that particular person. Third, feedback when networking to stand out. So some people think of networking is all about taking, but when done right, it's also very much about giving. You can also volunteer for charitable causes, the support, whether it's joining their table at a fundraiser or something quite good that they do in this particular space. So try doing that. I mean, it's not just about paying some money or paying off something materialistically to them just to stand out, but maybe just normal volunteering will also do in that case. So that would be another tip that I would like to give you in this case. For some contacts, you may be able to offer introductions that have real value. So that is again, something that you can do um, um, to uh, build a good bond with that particular person, individual, who would be your very good professional network. Networking person, which is the next section of this webinar. So first of all, choose the right networking events. There are a lot of networking events out there, but your time is limited because everyone is busy. Everyone has many work-related commitments, family commitments, of course, and also there are some social commitments because we all are social beings in general. So definitely the time is limited as compared to the events that are available. Uh, so which should you bother going to? Which networking events should you bother going to? Here are a few questions you can ask yourself to help determine what will be a good use of your time and energy. First, who do you think will attend this event? For example, specific people or types of people, such as lawyers or journalists, or in this case, your prospective clients. Then, what is the format of the event? For example, whether it's a breakfast event, a lunch event, a cocktail reception, a sporting event, group activity, paid networking, etc. And what is the timing of the event? For example, again, like, whether it's a breakfast time, lunch time, during the workday, evening, or weekend, because accordingly, you can pay attention towards your existing professional work commitments as well as family commitments, and then decide whether to attend that particular networking event or not. You can also consider, for example, whether it is a paid event or unpaid event. And I completely understand that everyone has financial obligations and commitments. So considering the cost benefit analysis also, you can decide which is the right networking event for you. Second, manage networking time effectively. So we are all busy these days, but that doesn't mean you are too busy for networking, because networking is very important, especially in today's world. And there is no replacement for in-person networking. The human factor plays a very vital role. I personally believe I have personally experienced that. So building on that, I would definitely say that even though you're busy with your existing commitments, try to network with new people and try to build meaningful connections with them. Networking doesn't have to be an onerous or tedious task. It should not be a time-intensive process as such. One of the best ways to save time in networking and add value in the process is to connect multiple people with one another. So as I said earlier, you can be a wingman. So similarly, following that particular approach, what you can do is you can, at the time, talk with or discuss few things, interesting things at the networking event with more than 2 or 3 people, and then you can actually build your professional network accordingly. Uh, Lastly, if you are feeling pressed for time when it comes to networking, think creatively, and maybe you can connect people who would appreciate it. So you would perhaps get, will get that vibration from other people, in a sense, whether they are willing to contribute towards the discussion at that networking event. I mean, we all are grown-ups, of course, and we sense, whether the other person is interested in continuing the chat that we are trying to have, or the ice that we are trying to break at the networking event. Try to catch that particular thing, and try to utilize your time, and concentrate on people at the networking event who would appreciate it. And you will see that through their gestures and postures, and maybe through their words as well, whether they are interested in continuing the chat that you are trying to have with them. So that I would like to definitely mention here. Third, host your own networking event. It's actually easier to host your own networking event, I believe, than attending other people's or organizations' events as such. First, start by determining what type of event to hold. Please ask yourself, what type of event do you enjoy personally? For example, it would be a large gathering, but I would personally suggest you starting small gatherings to test the waters as to whether you could, I mean, whether you feel comfortable uh, organizing those gatherings, even small gatherings. And if you're comfortable, then slowly you can, move towards organizing large gatherings. But definitely, I would suggest you to, organize small gatherings or networking events. Next, decide how to choose your attendees. Think about at least 3 and no more than 10 people that you would like to bring together, because the time is limited again, and not just your time, but everyone's time. And that's the reason it's very important that there should not be so many people coming together. Uh, and what will happen is if there are more number of people, the main purpose of the networking event uh, might not be fulfilled and achieved. The objective is not achieved. So try to have small gatherings. In other words, at least 3 people and no more than 10 people at a time. Ideally, the group should have a common strand, so it will be easy for them to find things to talk about. So, as I mentioned before, also, it would be great to choose people who are like-minded in general, so that what will happen is they would have a common strand to discuss things about, and that might be anything. That might start from liking a particular sport, for example, or they're working in the similar sort of industry, or they are from a particular home country, or they have graduated from a particular college, so on and so forth. But there has to be at least one common strand that would actually encourage them and motivate them to first accept your invitation to come to your own networking event and then contribute towards that event through meaningful discussions and chats. Lastly, determine how to structure the event. Structuring of the event is also important. Starting from, for example, what once everyone will be there at the event, what sort of welcome message that you would like to give to all the guests. For example, what sort of food that you'll be offering them at that particular event, what sort of music you'll be playing at the event, what the overall structure of the event that should have determined, because that would actually define the success of your event, I believe, personally. And depending on the type of event, there are a variety of ways you can structure things, but there is one critical key you always need to follow, which perhaps you also have liked whenever you attended another networking event. So, say for example, if you have attended 10 networking events so far, and out of 10, just prioritize, or rather, I would say not prioritize, but rank any 3 best events that you think they were organized very nicely. Just rank them and just try to follow the structure of those events. And that would be the first thing to start with. So that's sort of suggestion I would like to give in this book. And make sure to welcome people when they arrive and immediately introduce them to others if they don't know anyone there. So that sort of thing is quite important. Otherwise, people will not feel comfortable, and that would not be a successful sort of networking event. Unfortunately, that might tarnish your reputation also. So meticulously planning everything is the key in this case whenever you host your own networking event. Next section is all about networking online. So the first thing you need to consider is networking through social media. As you know, social media certainly isn't a replacement for face-to-face networking. I mentioned that earlier as well, that human connections are very important. They are definitely they hold greater value than the connections that are made through social media. Even though you make some connections through social media, they need to be converted to in-person sort of connection, because that human factor plays a big role. As you personally would have also experienced that in the past, and that continues to happen in the future also, I believe. So there is still nothing like connecting in person, but that's not always possible. So social media can be a helpful agent. It would be helpful to start or at least plan your networking through social media. For example, if you start commenting on the updates some well-known professionals in your field share on LinkedIn or retweeting their posts on Twitter, if they are active in social media, they will likely notice. Here, I would like to give you an example. I'm sure that many of you know Twitter's CEO, current CEO, who actually owns Tesla as well. So this particular person, he would look at and takes care of his own Twitter account, and he would personally reply to majority of the messages on Twitter whenever he was just the CEO of Tesla. Now he is the CEO of Twitter as well. So currently, I do not know exactly whether he's involved in that sort of setting, where he would personally handle the tweets made by other people on that particular account. So I'm talking about Elon Musk, who is the CEO of Twitter, current CEO of Twitter, and who used to be, or rather, he's also the CEO of Tesla as well, which is quite famous all over the world for electric vehicles or cars specifically. So that sort of thing. Just wanted to give you an example, but the most important thing, as I've said over here, is what you can do is you can just follow the people on social media in your feed who are important in your feed. Try to share their posts, comment on their posts on LinkedIn, or maybe by retweeting their posts on Twitter, and may not be in the first instance, but eventually they will notice you as a person, and maybe after 3-4 incidents, or maybe doing this sort of thing for 2 months or 3 months, you can try sending a personal message maybe, and start expanding your professional network through meaningful relationship with those people on social media. So second part, create content to expand your network. That is also another thing that you can actually consider, strategy you can consider to expand your network online. So it's not necessarily intuitive to think of content creation, such as writing a blog post or creating an online video as a form of networking, but it's an extraordinarily powerful and underutilized strategy because it has the power to draw the right people to you. And this is something that we might need to ask ourselves in a sense, like there would be very few people who would be writing their own blogs or creating an online video to expand their professional network. So if you're not doing that so far, maybe it is a good strategy to at least try doing it, because that might attract attention of some people whenever you are sharing some meaningful content or thoughts, either via blogs or via your video, online video, and that would actually help you to draw others' attention and expand your professional network accordingly. So content creation is really an interesting way to expand your professional network, I believe. An even more direct way to meet interesting high-level people is to ask to interview them. For example, and again, we would need to definitely consider that everyone is busy. So just be ready that everyone will not say yes to your request. So having that positive attitude and knowing that people will not be always available for you is also important. You should not feel sad, or you should not get disheartened if people, other people, some special people in your area with whom you would like to build a meaningful professional network, they would say yes to your request. So just be patient, be persistent, but it should not also happen that you are making continuous, consistent requests and they are denying your request. Maybe the best strategy could be if you're requesting and they are saying no to you after 2 or 3 attempts, depending upon what you feel comfortable, you should perhaps stop sending them emails or requesting them to to interview them or that sort of thing. So it's very important to have a very good strategy in place, even for example, to interview some people in order to build meaningful connections with them. But it's very important to draw a line also at the same time. So there has to be a balance that needs to be properly, maintained in general. So if you have a podcast or a blog, oftentimes people will say yes, especially if they have a book or a new project to promote. So this is also interesting. It is possible that people like high-level people or prestigious who are quite popular people, if they are coming up with something new, like for example, if they are launching a new book, for example, if they have to promote a new project, then in that sort of situation, they may say yes to you for an interview, so you can interview them. But otherwise, people are busy and they might not even get an opportunity to reply to you. In most of the cases, my personal experience has been people are kind, people are very generous to respond to your email, but it's very important to remember again, and I'm repeating this, I know, to know that people are busy and they might not say yes to every request that you make to them. If you have mutual contacts who can introduce you, that's the best. For example, in this case, so try to find out some common contacts between you and those high-level people or people who are popular in their area of expertise, for example, because that would steer your possibility, I would say, to receive yes or some positive sort of reply from them for an interview, for example, or for building a meaningful professional network with that particular person, high-level person or people. But if you do not have a common contact or a mutual contact, just send along a short email asking if they would be open to an interview and include sample links to past interviews you have done. That is also another thing that you can do, and that might help you to have a good positive impression on them, and they may consider actually getting interviewed by you. So that is also another thing that you can actually consider while contacting those people, high-level people. Please don't immediately ask the most famous person for an interview. As I mentioned that before, and perhaps it is a repetition here, but people are quite busy, and even though they would like to get interviewed, for example, they might not say yes because they're very busy. They have other important things to do, and there are various priorities in their lives, especially like we have, like professional commitments, family commitments, social commitments in general. So that is the most important thing I would like to mention here, that please don't immediately ask for an interview in the first instance itself when you're sending them the first email. So third one, follow up with contacts to maintain your connection. The interesting part of networking is meeting new people, of course, but the more valuable part is keeping in touch and deepening your existing relationships. So it's not always about building new connections at every networking event. I mean, it should not happen that you're just like, trying to meet with new people at every event, uh, contacting them just once or twice, and then perhaps uh, not contacting them and not being persistent in general, in a positive way, of course, I'm saying, with respect to uh, continuing the professional bond with those people. So, keeping in touch is very important because that will help you to deepening your existing relationship with them, and that will actually help you more meaningfully to expand your professional network, to build stronger connections with those people. Keeping in touch is very important, in other words. However, it can sometimes be confusing as to how to follow up with someone. So, to avoid that sort of confusion, um, uh, what you can do. I'm just trying to give some tips over here, especially someone you don't know well. That time it is quite confusing to have a follow up with them. So think back to your initial meeting or meetings with them and try to write down details you remember. Suppose you met someone at a networking event and you spoke about um, uh, something about sports, and you have a sports business, in a sense you sell sports equipment, for example, and they mentioned, those people at that networking event mentioned about various better digital marketing strategies for promoting your sports equipment online. So what you can do is you can just, like, from memory, you can just jot down some points that they discussed on that particular event while interacting with you, and maybe those points you mentioned, and just try to ask them like whether you would like to have a chat with them once again, because at the networking event you didn't get enough time to discuss this in detail, and whether they are happy to discuss this further, either telephonically or via e-conferencing, or over coffee, that sort of thing. So it's quite important to for example, contact them either via email or through social media, because what will happen is, and I'll perhaps mention that next, that whenever you're mentioning those points, write down those points, the key details that you remember. The person will also feel good because they feel valued, that you remember the points that they made at that networking event, and they would appreciate that. So there is a high chance that they would get back to you on that particular thing, and in that way you can build meaningful relationships with those people in the professional setting. Uh, for example, these things would also, I gave an example of like the knowledge about the sports related marketing, that sort of thing. But it could be a simple thing. For example, the town they live in, their favorite sports team, or hobbies. So anything that you remember that you can actually mention, and the initial meeting that you have had with that person at that time, whatever things that they have shared with you, if you mention that, that will be really helpful for you to further, build meaningful relationship with that with those people. So this can be useful because it provides you with opportunities and good excuses to get in touch again. Like as I said, perhaps I'm repeating, but it will be really helpful for you to get in touch with them again and again. If their team wins the Super Bowl, for instance, you can shoot them a quick note. If their town gets flooded, you can email them to see if they're okay. So that these sorts of examples are quite, I hope, helpful for you to decide your strategy as to how to get back to them, either via an email message, or by sending a text on LinkedIn, or just tweeting them. If the company wins a large contract that gets reported in the newspaper, you can congratulate them, because that sort of attention also people like. important people like especially, and they would appreciate that. And these are all very natural ways to be in touch that don't seem strange or out of place. So these, being natural is quite important, I would say, than to uh, sound a little bit strange and just for no reason contacting them via social media. So, please decide your strategy on how to follow up with contacts to maintain your connection with them. So that's all about the important content of this particular webinar. On this note, it's time for some gamified knowledge retention. And I'm just going to do that using a Kahoot quiz. Now, those of you who do not know what is a Kahoot quiz, it's a gamified app. It's a gaming app on which everyone can actually join a particular quiz. So as you can see on this particular screen, can you see the board over here, whiteboard over here? And you will see there is a question, the ball that you can see over here, that's actually a question, for example. Or on the top of that, the gray box that you can see, you will see a question there and some relevant events there where the ball is. And then there would be 4 options. And on like at your end, you would be logging in on the mobile phone device, and I'll let you know exactly from where you can do that. You will actually see a QR code, and very shortly I will show you that QR code for this particular quiz. So you can just log into that particular game or enter the pin that would be shown on the screen. And then you can log into that quiz by entering your name. A pseudo name is also fine, so please don't worry whether you have to enter your real name. There is no compulsion as such, so feel free to enter a pseudo name. And once you do that, you'll be entered to that particular quiz. And what you will see is at your end, as this person, there are 2 people who are holding a mobile phone device or a handheld device. You will just see the option. So what you would need to do is you would need to see the question on the screen and the 4 options, and you will just see the those 4 options coming on your phone, those colors like 4 options, as you can see over here for comparison. And you need to just choose the correct option that you feel is the correct one. So choose one option that you think is the correct one for answering this question, and that will do its job. So I hope this part is clear to you. And on that note, I'll just start the quiz. Just give me a moment. I'll start the quiz. So starting the quiz now. It's generating a pin. So either what you can do is you can scan the QR code or go to www.kahoot.it and enter the game pin, the 7-digit pin. Yeah, so I can see Aaron is here. Thanks, Aaron. Waiting for a few more people. wait for a few more people. May I start the quiz? A thumbs up will do. All right. Great, Nirmal. I'll start the quiz. Starting the quiz. Okay, so the correct answer is to narrow personal networking to a smaller subset of individuals. Let's see the score. All right, that's great. Question number 2. Yeah, that's correct. Find what people are passionate about and then find common ground. Let's see the score. Great. Question number 3. Building healthy work relationships is the correct option. Great. Let's see the score. Great. Question number 4. All right, the answer is willingness to engage and connect with people. Okay. And the last question is, so the correct answer is consider the type of event needed in prior successful examples, as I mentioned. So that's the end of the quiz, and let's see who's the winner. Right. That's great. Well done, Rick. Very great. So that's all about the Kahoot quiz, the gamified knowledge retention activity. Now, on that note, let's see whether we accomplished the goals that we set for this webinar. I personally see that yes, we accomplished all these goals. Can I please request you to just like put a thumbs up if you also agree with me that through the presentation in this webinar, I could accomplish the goals that I set for this webinar, please. Thumbs up will do, or a message will also do. Okay, thanks, Harry. Great, thanks, Nirmal. All right. On that note, this is the part that Helen will take care of. I'll just turn off my camera and mic. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Balakrishnan. That was fantastic. She got some really good points out of that myself. I do love a bit of networking. Let me just check if there were any questions. Rinku, yeah, that's fine. We can send you a link to visit the recording of the full webinar if you weren't able to join us. Now, it doesn't look like there were any questions for Dr. Balakrishnan, but if you feel like there was something that you wanted more information about, or you did have something you wanted to talk to Balakrishnan regarding, his email is obviously on the screen right now. So please note that down, or we will be able to forward slides through to you post-webinar if you wish. But yes, please feel free to contact Dr. Balakrishnan via his email address with any questions that you may have. But thank you. That was fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we wrap up for today, I'm going to talk about Act 2 solutions. All right, who are we? So we prepare actuarial certificates for self-managed super funds, and we do it very well. So I guess, there are a lot of competitors out there in terms of the actuarial certificate space. What makes us different? So our certificates are immediate. So we are fully integrated with the main platforms, admin platforms, so BGL, Class, and Supermate. And when you are requesting your actuarial certificates via Act 2, they're available to you immediately through those platforms. We also offer free CPD accredited live webinars on pension-specific topics. So when you're a client, you receive those CPD accredited webinars for free. We also have a fully customized membership platform, which allows you access to all your historical data, your certificates, and your invoices. It's also where we hold all of our previous webinars. And we also provide online self-paced learning modules that are pension-based topics that are written by an SMSF educator. And they're really cool if you've got someone new coming in and they need, because there are some really niche topics within SMSF, and we tend to cover those, and it is self-paced and it's fully interactive. So they're definitely worthwhile. In terms of our pricing, look, it is competitive, but based on your volumes, we are always open to chat regarding a volume-based discount. So please, should you like some more information about Act 2 solutions and our services and what we provide, please contact me. My name is Helen, and my email is helen@act2.com.au, or feel free to call me. I'm always available on the phone. All right. I will be, well, fingers crossed, I will be at the Australian Accounting Awards this evening in Sydney. I just saw that my flight's delayed by 2.5 hours, so I'm going to be going straight from the airport to the event. If you're there, come and see me, say hello, say congratulations, Helen, you actually made it. If not, thank you again for joining us today. We look forward to doing more of these in the future. Please feel free to reach out should you want any more information. And a happy June 30th, happy end of financial year, happy new financial year. Dr. Balkrishna, was there anything you wanted to say before we sign off?
No, all good. Like, I really enjoyed presenting this webinar, and I'm looking forward to more such opportunities in the future and working with you, Helen.
Thank you.
It's great to be connected with you.
Wonderful. And you.
Thank you. Thank you. So,
all right, guys. Well, we're 1 minute past 11, so we're right on time. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you soon.
see ya. Thanks.
Bye.